Andrew Jackson Borden and his wife Sarah welcomed their daughter Elizabeth into the world on a hot summer day on July the 19th of 1860. Lizzie, as she was called, soon lost her mother at the very young age of only 3. For the next 3 years, Lizzie and her father, and along with her sister Emma, who was 6 years older, lived in a large, but very modest home in Fall River, Massachusetts, along with their live-in maid Bridget Sullivan, who was nicknamed Maggie. Although their father was a very successful businessman, he was extremely frugal with his money. Although some of his relatives had come from nobility, Andrew grew up having to struggle to survive. His net worth at the time of his death was around $300,000, which in today's currency would be the equivalent of over $9 million. Despite all of his success, he didn't even allow for such luxuries as indoor plumbing, which was common in the area, even in the late 1800s. Andrew forced his family to live on a very strict budget, which was a sore subject with his girls. 3 years after Sarah's death, Andrew soon met Abby Durfee Gray and married her not long after. It seemed that everything would be fine now that the girls had a mother figure in the home, but that would never be the case. Although both Emma and Lizzie grew up in the church and did various activities helping others and seemed to be good-natured girls, their relationship with Abby, almost from day one, was always one of contention. Despite meeting Lizzie at the young age of 3, Lizzie insisted on calling her stepmother Mrs. Borden. To add to the already thick tension in the house, Lizzie was an avid animal lover. Several pigeons came to settle into the Bordens' garage, and Lizzie decided to go out and build them a nice nesting area with a perch so that they could have a home during the winter months, which in New England, where they lived, are very harsh indeed. To her utter horror, her father went out to the shed one day to find them, and he took an axe and killed most of them. He claimed his reason was that he didn't want the local teenage boys to be hunting or shooting them near his house. Whatever his reason, Lizzie was absolutely livid. Tension was building like a pressure cooker in the Borden home in the weeks leading up to the elder Borden's murders. A family argument in July 1892 caused Lizzie and Emma to take extended stay in New Bedford to visit some friends in order for things to cool off. After returning to Fall River, a week before the murders, Lizzie chose to stay in a local rooming house for 4 days before returning to the family residence. When she returned home, she probably felt that things would go back to normal, but when she found out about her father giving his wife and her family several properties, one of which belonged to her late mother, it was probably like pouring gasoline on an already large fire. The night before the murders, John Vinicum Morse, Lizzie and Emma's uncle, who happened to be their mother's brother, visited and was invited to stay for a few days to discuss business matters with Andrew. What all they talked about is unknown, but one thing they did talk about was the transfer of some of the properties, which was probably the catalyst for what was to come. Several days before the murder, the family became severely ill. Many think that someone had tried to poison the couple, while others tend to believe that it was leftover meat that was on the stove for several days, because they did not own a refrigerator. Whether it was poison or not, the couple did not die yet. August the 4th of 1892, that fact would soon change. One thing that surprises me is the fact that the uncle came to visit the day before on the 3rd, and was there on the day of the murders, and yet was never a suspect. Andrew had just given away John's sister's home. Wouldn't that be a motive for murder? Either way, Abby went upstairs sometime between 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. to make the bed, and according to forensics was facing her killer at the time of the attack. She was first struck on the side of the head with a hatchet, which cut her just above the ear, causing her to turn and fall face down on the floor, creating contusions on her nose and forehead. She soon received at least 17 more whacks of the axe to the face and head. Ironically, this happened right around the time that John, the uncle, left to go to town to buy some oxen. Andrew Borden returned home around 10:30 a.m. His key failed to unlock the door, so he knocked for someone to let him in. Sullivan went to unlock the door, finding it jammed. She would later testify that she heard Lizzie laughing immediately after this. She did not see Lizzie, but stated that the laughter was coming from the top of the stairs. This was a very important detail as Abby was already dead by this time, and her body would have been visible to anyone on the home's second floor. Lizzie later denied being upstairs and testified that her father had asked her where Abby was, and she had replied that a messenger had delivered Abby a summons to visit a sick friend. Lizzie stated during the trial that she had then removed Andrew's boots and helped him into his slippers before he lay down on the sofa for a nap. The problem with this statement was that Borden was murdered, wearing his boots, proving her statement either to be mistaken or an outright lie. Sullivan testified that just before 11:10 a.m. she heard Lizzie call from downstairs, "Maggie, come quick. Father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him." They rushed downstairs to find Andrew Borden slumped over on the couch. It seemed as though he was attacked while he was asleep. He had received at least 10 or 11 blows to the face from a very sharp axe. One of his eyeballs was even split right in two. His wounds were still oozing blood, which indicated a very recent attack. Detectives estimated his death had happened around 11 a.m. Lizzie claimed that she had found him only 10 minutes before that. She was soon arrested for the murder of both her father and her stepmother. During the trial, she was said to have acted very strange. She often gave bizarre answers and often contradicted herself. Whether it was nerves, the fact that she had just lost her father, or the morphine that they had given her to calm her nerves, or possibly the fact that she was indeed guilty of the murders, the trial went on for nearly a month before she was found not guilty for lack of evidence. Although she was found innocent in the eyes of the law, she wasn't in the eyes of her fellow Fall River citizens. She was shunned and ostracized everywhere she went. No one would have anything to do with her. She lived out her days in Fall River as a lonely woman. She never married, never had children, and didn't really have anyone or any friends. She died at the age of 66 from complications due to pneumonia. What do you think? Did she do it? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, like, comment, share and subscribe. We appreciate each and every one of you who take the time to listen to our stories and share our content. Links to our merch shop, website, and our social media links are in the comments section below. Till next time, thanks again.